What's good, G Life? This right here is beautiful Killer Cali, California. You already know, gangbanging capital, home of hundreds and hundreds of gangs, thousands of documented gang members. Now, like I have covered before, when I had said that there's neighborhoods that often get confused for each other, that is what we'll be basing off this episode today. Between two neighborhoods that often get confused for each other. Um, Not so much because they have the exact same name, but because how it could be phrased, since it being a Hispanic neighborhood, um, translating from English to Spanish and vice versa, why it could be confused for each other or why they do get confused for each other. And not only that, because they also expanded outside of their area and landed in the same similar area, why these neighborhoods often get confused for each other. So, with no further ado, let's get into it.
Street raised, I was brought up with a G state. Peep game, those who didn't catch one to your brain. Stay in your lane, never wolfed it, boy, I never fake. Watch them break, watch them fall, still I remain. Never change, never try to come and rearrange. Never hate, never tripping on somebody's plate. That shit is lame, leave that type of shit for the dames. The streets don't play, oh catch up, watch your life escapes. One game, homie, that you shouldn't play. There's real soldiers in the streets gunning every day. This shit is normal in the vital part of every day. It ain't great, but I'm loyal, so I'll never change. I keep repeating, but I mean it, never lose your way. Heed the warning and the missing just for talking brave. Fuck my enemies, two faces and all the snakes. Now for this matter, just name the time and name the place. We'll get it active, fuck the gap, and I mean face to face. Real gangsters never fold, then we never shake. I was brought up to.
You are now watching M.O.D. Entertainment.
Now, to find out the neighborhood that I'm talking about, we actually have to be traveling to the original spot in which it started at, which would have to be in West LA, west side of Los Angeles. West LA is obviously known for it being home to so many different neighborhoods from Echo, Diamond Temples, and all kinds of different barrios. It is home to this neighborhood that, often gets confused, which is the barrio CYS. CYS, not Cyclones. This CYS and that CYS have nothing to do with each other except that they have the same initials, but that's it. They're different barrios. This one translating to West Side Crazies. West Side Crazies is a neighborhood that's been well established here in the west of LA. It didn't start off as a neighborhood. It actually started off as a tagging crew. Roughly around the later 80s, early 90s when this neighborhood was established as a tagging crew. You know what I mean? And it was actually two different neighborhoods that actually became one whole neighborhood, because there was a different barrio within the same area that was known as the Mayberry Streets. Mayberry Street was different than the Crazies. Crazies was a crew. Mayberry Street was a group of, youths that would play football and hang out and do their thing. So, since both of these neighborhoods were in the same area, and they had, obviously bigger gangs, within the area that like to push their weight around, like Echo Park. These neighborhoods, banded together to form the West Side Crazies Mayberry Street. You know what I mean? To form the barrio, in which, they have been and established right there and have, a big, growth in their barrio. Now, the West Side Crazies, obviously, if you translate it to in Spanish, because crazies means loco in Spanish. So if you were to translate this barrio in Spanish, it would be the West Side Locos. So, West Side Crazies, West Side Locos. That's why these barrios get confused for each other. But that's the reason why, you technically, I know other neighborhoods, say their barrios in Spanish because you could say it in Spanish and in English. But in this case, it's different because if you say it in Spanish, you'll be saying a whole different barrio that exists within almost the same area. So it's kind of not the same thing. You can't really, say it in Spanish. You get what I'm saying, for that very exact same reason, because, West Side Locals and West Side Crazies is two different neighborhoods. But they both come from West LA. But these guys come from, obviously, the MacArthur Park, Echo Park area, Silver Lake, and all of that. Their territory essentially was everything that was from Berenway. Their territory extended all the way to Sunset Boulevard. Their territory still stretched out to... their territory still stretched out all the way to Alvarado Street. And Alvarado Street, their territory, came back to Berkeley Avenue. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. But the heart of their hood, their main domain, their dojo, is on Mayberry Street, right where the Mayberry Street Elementary School's at. Throughout those back ends, that's the heart of their hood, their dojo, their domain. You know what I mean? So everything that's throughout that area, Montana, Scott, um, you know, um, Reservoir, all of that is the West Side Crazies neighborhood. Really close to the Echo Park. That's why Echo Park and these guys have heavy beef, heavy animosity. That's why this area they even put the gang injunction on this area because that's how bad it was. These neighborhoods were going at it. It was guerra. It was bad. Now, I have heard people try to say that it was an Asian neighborhood, it's a black neighborhood. No, 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 no. What happened was that when this was a tagging crew, it had a mixture of individuals in it. So it had whites, it had Asians, it had blacks, it had Hispanics. It was mixed. A lot of neighborhoods started off like that, and a lot of crews were like that. It's a common theme. I don't know why people are acting brand new. So yes, they did have Asian homies, whites homies, black homies, and stuff like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it was whatever that kind of gang. It was a mixed neighborhood. Now through time passing by, people moving out, Hispanic families moving into the area, it started becoming more of a Hispanic neighborhood than a mixture. But nonetheless, they still have older homies that are different ethnicities. In the Crazies neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? And this was their stomping grounds right here in this area where they originated at, and where they did their thing. Like I said, different from the West Side Locos. Now, the West Side Crazies did establish themselves in the A1A Valley, my hometown. The A1A, yes, that Crazies and this Crazy is the same Crazies. Except this one being the West Valle Crazies. But they also write West Side Crazies, you know what I mean? Because that's the original name, but they use more West Valle because they're located in the west of the valley, which is in the city of Reseda, right there where they planted their flag. You know what I mean? And it is the same one. I was told that this one's different, that this was a crew. No, 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 no. What happened was that they had homies that had moved from the west side to the area of Reseda, and there was a tagging crew that was already there. They were tag bangers, the DBS, and another crew, and they ended up getting into the Crazies because the Crazies would go over there and chill, and they just influenced these youngsters, and they got in. So when people say, "Nah, these guys were a crew," no, 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 no. So those tagging crews got into Crazies. So it's not that this Crazy is different. It was a crew. Nah. And their territory is everything that's from Reseda Boulevard, Reseda all the way to Satakoy all the way to White Oak, and White Oak, their territory extends all the way to Roscoe. So everything that's in the middle, which is on Strathern and Lindley Avenue, that is the heart of their hood, their domain, their dojo, where they have, a few cliques, of theirs, that hold it down for the West Valle Crazies, but it is the same Crazies, so it's the same ones as the ones in West LA. So they did spread out to different locations and planted their flag along like with the West Side Locals. That we'll get into it when I go over there, talk about them. But so yes, they are both located in the A1A and in West LA. And the Crazies is a few hundred members to them. I know people say that no, it's about look. There were a few hundred members in West LA. Now they have this. In the Valle, there were like about 65 members to them. So yeah, there are a few hundred members to them, bro. You may not like it. I can't come and lie. I could only come and tell the facts, bro. Those are the facts. It is the same one, and it is what it is, bro. You can hate it or love it. It makes no difference. It don't change the facts. So yes, this is a real neighborhood. The West Side Crazies, different from the West Side Locals. You can't really translate this one into Spanish because you'll be saying a whole different barrio. But they're two different gangs. And like I said, this CYS is different from the Ciclones. Like they're just same abbreviation, but this stands for the West Side Crazies, Mayberry Streets, or the West Valle Crazies. Right there holding it down for theirs and continue to put theirs on the map, and still are active and functioning and doing their thing. Now, to find the opposite of the Crazies neighborhood, The Spanish translation version, but it's a different barrio. Like I said, just it just happened to be that way. These ones are located in West LA as well, but these guys are located more deeper into West LA. You have to go more into West LA to find this barrio, to the area that is referred to as the Four Corners. Now, for those who are not aware, because they're not from the area, the Four Corners is the area that is broken into what's Sotel, Culver City, Santa Monica, and Venice. The Four Corners, because of the four old established barrios that are there that do their thing. Because it legitimately is, the four corners of Los Angeles. Those cities. With old school notorious neighborhoods, because those barrios are real individuals that do real things. You know what I mean? And this is home to one of these. The other side of now the neighborhood, which is known as the WSLS. WSLS translating to West Side Locos. The West Side Locos has been right here in the Four Corners for a cool minute. In the Four Corners. Now, this neighborhood has been established here since the 80s that it was established. So it's not as old school as, like Culver or Santa Monica and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, homie, they were right there doing their thing. Representing, they ended up moving into an area that already had a neighborhood established there on Helm Street. That was the home of the Helm Streets, but they ended up kind of just like taking over their neighborhood essentially, because the West Side Locos blew up in numbers really, fast. Now, the West Side Locos is a neighborhood that is said to be in the thousands in members. Now, hold on before I get people, that's not true, impossible. People always stir it up. This neighborhood is actually located in different parts of California and outside of California, in other states as well, like Colorado, like Texas, like Washington. This barrio has already spread its wings to different locations, A1A Valley, Simi Valley, San Diego, all of that, bro. And I was at least told, I was told that they were different, and then I was told that they're the same. So whatever you want to take from that story, you know what I mean? But this is their original home birthplace, right here in the west of LA. Their territory essentially was everything that was on like I said, on Helms, right there throughout Washington Boulevard, Washington and Helms, Hitchson, Fay Avenue, all of that was considered their barrio. So everything that was throughout, Washington Boulevard, by the creek. By the creek, if those who are familiar with the area where the Bologna Creek is at, that is their barrio right there on Fairfax and Washington. But like I said, on Helms, that was their dojo, their domain throughout those back streets, close to the park that's right there as well, on National Boulevard. For those who are familiar with the area, right there, Venice Boulevard as well, that is their territory. I know you have other Crips as there, 18, Helms, like I said, but that is the heart of the hood, where they established, where they started. It is also the barrio in which Spanky Loco, Weddle Snipes, and all of those guys, 310 West, that is the West Side Locos that they're from, the original West Side Locos right here in this area. And like I said, there were a few hundred members here, and then they just spread to different locations and got into the thousands in members. You could, hey, those are the facts, bro. But this, the original birthplace for the West Side Locos right here, that were doing real things, you know what I mean? And now, to find their other location, we actually have to be traveling to the area that is known as Glendale, A1A Valley, my hometown. Yes, the A1A Valley is also home to the West Side Locos. And like I said, at least from what I was told, is that they're the same West Side Locos. And they landed over here in the Valle roughly around the early 90s when they landed here. And, there were a few hundred members to them as well. right there. And they blew up in numbers because I have a few homies out of out of this West Side Locos. You know what I mean? The homie Spooks, the homie Temper, the homie Shadow. The homie Chango. A few guys that I know out of the Glendale ones. You know what I mean? So I know that they were, and I know that those homies are down for their shit, dog. You know what I mean? I know homies handle business. People can't tell me otherwise. So this, right here in Glendale was their home. Throughout all of Glendale, you were able to find the West Side Locos. One of the more dominant neighborhoods in the area of Glendale throughout Victory Boulevard. Was their home base, their domain, their dojo. Throughout over there on Riverside Drive, and all of that was considered the West Side Locos here in the 818. Like I said, they just both, West Side Crazies and West Side Locos coming from West LA, and now they both landed in the 818 Valley as well. You know what I mean? It just happens to work out that way. You know what I mean? It's just, but they're different barrios because you can't say these guys in English. You can't say that, oh yeah, the Crazies of West LA, because then that's already describing the other barrio. It just happens to be one of those cases. Like I said, these guys, have a strong presence here in the A1A, continue to still be right there established and handling their thing. Now, they are also located in the 805. 805, obviously being the Ventura County, right here in the area of Simi Valley. Simi Valley is home to the West Side Locos as well. I know that you do have, other barrio there. You have the barrio Simi Valley, which they don't get along. They feud. But this is also where the West Side Locos landed, roughly around the mid-90s that they landed here in Simi Valley and began establishing and got up to like about 80 members to themselves, bro. Like I said, it just spread like wildfire. If anything, becoming, Barrio Simi Valley was the original neighborhood there. These guys ended up having more territory and growing maybe like in a larger number in members because their territory was everything. Was from First Street to Los Angeles Avenue. Los Angeles Avenue, the territory extended all the way to Eringer Street, Eringer Road, I think that's how you pronounce it, all the way to Fitzgeneral Road, and back around to First. So everything that was in the middle and throughout Simi Valley, the Simi Valley football center right there, the school, that is everything that, throughout Royal, that is what's known as the West Side Locos neighborhood. Right there in Simi Valley. And like I said, they are a large neighborhood within the 805, a well-recognizable neighborhood that's made headlines for all kinds of shit, bro. They were doing the real deal Holyfield out here in Simi Valley. These guys ain't no suckers. And definitely holding it down for 805, proud and representing it, for them right there. They ain't playing. And another location that they're located here in California is in San Diego. They are also in San Diego. So, San Diego is also home to the West Side Locos. And like I said, I was told that they're the same, also that they're different. It is what it is. Some write it with a C, Locos with a C, some write it with a K. But I was told that they're the same neighborhood because in the SD, you do have the West Side Locos who are pretty large themselves in SD. In SD, I was at least told that there were about 77 members to them. For it being a neighborhood that, is from over here and just landed and established, it grew into numbers pretty fast. You know what I mean? Obviously, one of the more smaller neighborhoods in a sense, but considering that that's not their hometown, I mean, they got it established. But I was told that and heard that people were saying that the ones in SD were a crew and stuff like that. Nah, I was told that they're, the same ones. They just, traveled over there and planted their flag in San Diego. So they do have a presence in SD, the San Diego West Side Locos. Now, I was also told that, like I said, they're in Colorado, Washington, Texas. So the West Side Locos is spread out to different locations, different areas. So it is a large neighborhood as a whole. Like I said, they hold it down for theirs. They continue to put theirs on the map and strive for their barrio. and do their thing. Like I said, these neighborhoods are different. I know if you translate West Side Locos into English, it's West Side Crazies, and vice versa. West Side Crazies into West Side Locos, but they're different neighborhoods, not the same. That's just the way it is, bro. Obviously, the West Side Locos was older. Then came the Crazies, but yeah, they be both right there representing for theirs and holding it down for their barrios.